absolutely believe that there are connections to this type of nefarious activity with things like MK Ultra. It's certainly been a part of my experience and stuff that I'm trying to, again, decipher.
It goes on and on and on with different types of experiments that they're trying on different people to see what causes the most trauma.
At the heart of MK Ultra's most harrowing experiments stood Dr. Ewan Cameron, a renowned Scottish psychiatrist whose work at McGill University's Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal became a cornerstone of the CIA's mind control pursuits.
He was a covert operative for the CIA and conducted some horrific experiments on his patients.
Funded covertly by the agency, Cameron developed a technique called psychic driving, a method aimed at erasing and reprogramming the human mind.
This type of horrific experiment would be followed up by what Dr. Cameron called psychic driving. What that really is a repetitive message.
Between 1948 and 1964, Dr. Ewan Cameron conducted mind control experiments on his patients at the Allen Memorial Institute. They were financed by the CIA and the federal government. At the time, the medical team used drugs and repeated messages to alter the brains of their guinea pigs. Messages like, "You're lovable" or "You're selfish" could be repeated up to 500,000 times, according to the court's decision. They also used electroshocks as what's known as a de-patterning treatment.
Cameron subjected patients, many seeking treatment for minor issues like anxiety or depression, to extreme regimens of sensory overload and psychological manipulation. His experiments involved administering electroconvulsive therapy, often while patients were strapped into beds, subjected to endless loops of recorded messages designed to overwrite their thoughts and identities. The electroshock treatment was designed to push the victims into a chaotic state, with Cameron writing that disorganization accumulates with ECT, that is, the more one is shocked, the more disorganized one becomes. One woman said she had no recollection of 26 years of her life after receiving Cameron's questionable electroshock treatment. The tapes, played for hours or even days, were intended to implant new behaviors or beliefs, aligning with MK Ultra's goal of creating a programmable human, akin to a Manchurian candidate.
Dr. Cameron once bragged that he could turn anyone into a serial killer through this process.
Cameron's Scottish heritage led many to ask whether Britain too was involved in mind control experimentation. When MK Ultra's secrets unraveled in the 1970s, Cameron's experiments became a stark symbol of the program's reckless disregard for human dignity. Around the same time as MK Ultra, the US Embassy in Moscow was being bombarded with microwaves in an incident that came to be known as the Moscow signal. The Russians weren't the only ones experimenting with directed energy. World-renowned Yale neuroscientist José Delgado carried out various frequency experiments on monkeys. He also believed mind control was the next logical step in human evolution.
Recently released CIA documents refer to the feasibility of remote control of animals, and that special investigations will be conducted toward the application of selected elements of these techniques to man.
Elsewhere, American neuroscientist Alan Frey discovered the microwave auditory effect, the ability to beam voices into someone's head wirelessly with microwave pulses. MK Ultra wasn't the only time mind control hit the headlines in the 70s. The CIA commented that they believed there was an attempt at mind control on a member of President Nixon's inner circle. Many believe MK Ultra never ended and continued under a new name, in what we would refer to today as an unacknowledged special access program. But what would be the purpose of such a program? Declassified documents reveal that part of their agenda was to create subjects that would have an uncontrollable impulse to, quote, commit a nuisance. Another document revealed their desire to activate human behavior by remote means. Many would speculate these statements were coded language for mind-controlled killer. The quest for a Manchurian candidate would embody MK Ultra's most sinister fantasy, a human stripped of free will and transformed into a puppet of the state. In one leaked document, a questionable researcher working for the CIA wrote to them stating that his research had come as far as it could without killing his subjects. Reportedly, the CIA wrote back to ask what it would take for the researcher to continue despite the risks, at which point, the morbidly eager researcher replied they would do the experiments for free. There was even some speculation that MK Ultra played a part in the assassination of Robert Kennedy. At the time, the killer, Sirhan Sirhan, said he had no recollection of the incident and asked to be taken back to the scene of the murder to jog his memory. There has also been a lot of speculation that Charles Manson was part of the MK Ultra program, given that Manson reportedly met with his parole officer in the very building where MK Ultra's lead psychiatrist experimented.
Manson was really into mind control.
Well, you're suggesting Manson was a puppet.
I'm suggesting that's a possibility, yeah. He was being used by the state. And then you have that whole COINTELPRO chaos, MK Ultra angle to it.
Could mind control, and in particular wireless frequencies, be used to create a puppet-like killer? What could drive your everyday person to kill? Potentially a voice inside your head posing as God. We know, after all, that weapons that can beam voices into the mind wirelessly exist and are unironically called voice of God weapons. Wired has published several articles on voice-to-skull technology, also reporting the U.S. Army pulled down the site detailing the capabilities of these weapons. There have been many mass murders where the perpetrators have said they heard voices. Of course, these killers are written off as schizophrenic. But what if there's more to it? In 2003, in a small Texas town, Deanna Laney, a deeply religious mother, tragically took the lives of 2 of her young sons and gravely injured another, believing she was following the voice of God. In Canada in 2008, Will Baker, a man tormented by insistent voices in his head that he believed were divine commands, tragically ended the life of a fellow bus passenger in a brutal attack. Baker later claimed that his voices had told him he was the 3rd chapter of the Bible, and he was to guard Earth against an alien attack. In the secure confines of the Washington Navy Yard in southeast Washington, D.C., troubled IT contractor Aaron Alexis, tormented by insidious voices he believed were emanating from extremely low-frequency government mind control devices, tragically ended the lives of 12 innocent civilians and wounded 3 others in a chaotic rampage, before being fatally shot by responding police.
The Navy Yard shooting, the warning signs were there. ABC News has learned that shooter Aaron Alexis was kicked out of Navy housing just weeks before his rampage because he was raving about voices in his head.
Law enforcement sources tell ABC News Aaron Alexis abruptly left a Newport, Rhode Island Navy barracks after constantly complaining that noises were coming out of his linen closet. During roughly the same time frame, Newport Naval Station police were warned by local authorities that Alexis was hearing voices and feared he was under constant surveillance by shadowy figures.
As disclosed by the FBI at the time, Alexis had engraved my ELF weapon on his gun, and they had retrieved writings where Alexis said an ultra-low frequency attack is what I have been subjected to for the past 3 months. And to be honest, it is what's driven me to this. In the town of Colchester in England, troubled teenager James Fairweather, haunted by commanding voices, tragically ended the lives of 2 vulnerable strangers in brutal stabbings in March and June 2014. He told police his voices were demanding a human sacrifice and were laughing as he was carrying out the 2 murders.
And I saw him. It was lying on the grass. I felt like that. It was like, just fast asleep, swear he was drunk. Went up to him, stood over like that, and that. So I stabbed him first there. And I've done it a few times. While I was doing that, my voices were laughing and laughing and laughing louder and louder. So my voices were talking to me, you need to make a sacrifice or we're going to come and get you, you need to do it.
In January 2017, at an airport in Florida, troubled Iraq War veteran Esteban Santiago, tormented by relentless voices in his head urging him to commit acts of violence, tragically ended the lives of 5 innocent travelers and wounded 6 others in a sudden rampage. Santiago had visited the local FBI to report that his mind was being controlled by a U.S. intelligence agency and that the CIA had been making him watch ISIS videos, presumably in his head. In Maine in 2023, troubled Army reservist Robert Card, tormented by relentless voices mocking and ridiculing him, tragically ended the lives of 18 innocent people and wounded 13 others in devastating attacks on a bowling alley and a bar, before taking his own life 2 days later.
Federal police are still on a manhunt for the man accused of shooting and killing 18 people at a Maine bowling alley and bar on Wednesday night. A sister-in-law to the suspect, 40-year-old Robert Card, confirmed to the Wall Street Journal that he received 2 weeks of inpatient psychiatric treatment over this past summer as he was hearing voices. She said he started believing he could hear people say awful things about him.
More recently, 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr. murdered Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska on a subway in North Carolina. While there are no mentions of him hearing voices, he spoke to his sister after the murder, where he claimed the government had put materials in his body.
So you said something in your body did what?
The material, feel like the material used my body to stab the lady.
While there's no way to prove any of these murders were the result of V2K or psychotronic neuroweapons, for targeted individuals, the details of each case are striking. There are, however, 2 incidents where the shooters have been self-identified targeted individuals. In 2014, in Tallahassee, Florida, troubled attorney Myron May, tormented by voices convincing him he was under constant government surveillance, tragically wounded 3 innocent students in a sudden shooting spree before being fatally shot by responding police. Before the shooting, May emailed videos and letters to contacts outlining his belief in being a targeted individual.
It's with a heavy heart that I am in front of you now, kind of my last words. You see, I am a victim of covert harassment and electronic harassment and gang stalking. I'm what's called a targeted individual. As sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church. I would hear voices in my apartment explaining what it was that I was doing. If I went to the kitchen, they'd say stuff, oh, he's headed to the kitchen now. Or if I went to the bathroom, they'd, oh, he's headed to the bathroom. We are subjected to torture daily. Father, I ask that you forgive me my sins, all my past sins, all my present sins, and all my future sins.
Less than a week before the shooting, May asked on Facebook, "Has anyone ever been encouraged by your handler to kill with a promise of freedom?" In August 2022, in the Ohio suburbs, Stephen Marlowe, tormented by merciless voices in his head, tragically ended the lives of 4 innocent people in a devastating shooting spree, before fleeing and publishing a pre-recorded video on social media, explaining his motives as being a counterattack against mind control.
We have been attacked by this weapon our entire lives, and the attack against me personally is one of the most vicious attacks a human being has ever faced. I have tolerated the most inhumane torture in hopes that the FBI and CIA would come to my defense, but they have failed to come to my aid. My only hope is that you come to understand what has happened here. When the world realizes what has happened, there will be justice, but I cannot sit by and be a victim any longer, and I refuse to sit by and do nothing while my nieces and nephews and the rest of my family are operated on with mind control. Our thoughts are not private. It is disgusting and it is cruel. I will be launching the first counterattack against mind control in human history. I want to be very clear, this will not be an active shooting event. I will be executing some of the people responsible for activating shooters. If I can help another targeted individual fight back against telepathy, then the sacrifice will be well worth it. The most horrific weapon ever made is being used on human beings, and if you ever learn the truth, you will understand what I did here to protect myself and my family. Get this out to other TIs, other voice hearers, so the world has a chance to fight back. To my family, especially my nieces and nephews, I want you to understand that what I do here, I do for your future, and hope that you can live a life free of mind control.
If the subject doesn't know they're under attack, a weapon that wirelessly projects voices directly into their mind could be influential, especially if the voice is posing as God or promising freedom in exchange for a human sacrifice. Are wireless frequencies and directed energy weapons being used to drive people to commit acts of violence? And if so, to what end?
Repetitive messaging through people who are highly suggestible, is a CIA term, can be converted into mass murders or mass shooters. It is my personal opinion that the CIA is still doing this.
People say mind control. Like, I don't imagine that somebody can shoot a beam into your head right now and make you do something specifically. I think of it more as manipulations, and some people are more susceptible to those manipulations than others.
Somebody asked me, why would the CIA or whoever's doing it, why would they want to carry out shootings? And the answer is very simple. They want to disarm the population.
I'm completely convinced that they are actually Manchurian candidate type programmed individuals who are targeted and then programmed to carry out false flag operations to frighten society, frighten the public, and create public concern so that on the back of that public concern, they can bring in tighter regulations and rules, curtailing human rights and your freedoms.
Many targeted individuals testify to a manipulative nature to the torture they endure. One thing's for sure. This program is designed to drive people to the brink, where they'll do anything to make it stop, potentially even kill. Murder isn't the only dark side to the targeting phenomenon. For many targeted individuals, especially the women, there seems to be a sexual component to this program. Haptic feedback, vibrations and pain delivered to their most intimate areas in a way that seems to want to humiliate them. Some TIs report seductive or taunting voices in their head at the same time as sexual assaults are taking place. A Washington Post article about the issue states, others report the attacks in the form of sexual stimulation, including one TI who claims he dropped out of the seminary after constant sexual stimulation by directed energy weapons.
There seems to be a predatory element.
There are some other things that have happened to me in terms of being a woman that I won't mention here, but there are attacks and assaults in a very intimate way and place.
Sexual aspect, electronic rape. It's just somebody is touching you. Somebody is touching you and doing sexual acts, but there's nobody there. If I look at somebody like a man or something, then they'll start touching me.
Just over the last year, it's gotten really much darker with sexual assaults and then not being able to find the perpetrator or the people assaulting me. It hurts, and I'm a human being.
Yeah, you're talking about like the electromagnetic, the rape and that. Yeah, that's, oh my God, that was kind of on the onset that I became aware of that. It was like I could feel it in my backside and my front side. And in the very beginning, it was, they wanted me to know. It was like I could feel this vibrating, just... powerlessness, sheer powerlessness over somebody, even though they're not putting their hand, they're putting the weapon on you, and there's nothing you can do. And that's an awful feeling.
It's usually combined with a very cruel microwave auditory effect, voices in their heads telling her, we're not raping you, we're just stimulating you. And that has got to be the most disgusting, wicked, evil, satanic thing I have ever heard.
Worryingly, a growing number of people are contacting TI support organizations to report that their children seem to be displaying signs of these weapons. Often, the parents are victims themselves, making the torture a generational thing.
A significant number of members, many single mothers and small children, minor children as young as 3 years old, are being targeted and harassed, particularly with voice-to-skull V2K. The sickness that someone would torture a small child is beyond belief. We have confirmed that these kids are in fact receiving directed energy weapons and voice-to-skull. It's a very disturbing development for us. With children, they'll use their mother's voice. The parent has to tell the child, watch my lips. If you didn't see me say it to you, that wasn't me.
The youngest we have record of is as young as 3 years old. What they do is that they beam voices at these children's, and they say things to them. For example, one of them would say, they're gonna eat my stomach. They're telling me that they're gonna eat my stomach. Another mother tells me that her 5-year-old tells her she never has a quiet moment in her head. Like, imagine a child 24/7 having these voices going on. Not to mention the damage to their developing brains, because this is perpetrated with microwave beams that are being directed at young minds.
So, what evidence is there that these weapons are at use in the cases of TIs? And who could be running a program so unethical, and that breaks every human rights treaty in existence? A 2018 Freedom of Information Act request by a muck-rock journalist sent to the Washington State Fusion Center yielded an unexpected cache of documents on Antifa, the so-called anti-fascist movement that was recently declared a terrorist organization. The leak included several pages on psychoelectric weapons, detailing electromagnetic assaults capable of remote mind control, voices, induced pain, and even forced memory blanking. When asked about the documents, the Fusion Center went silent. There have been attempts to legislate against the use of neuroweapons in the United States. In 2001, Democrat and former presidential candidate Dennis Kucinich tabled an amendment to the Space Preservation Act bill to include bans on psychotronic, electromagnetic, and ultra-low frequency weapons. His amendments were removed prior to the bill's passing, after Kucinich was ridiculed in the media. Also in 2001, former chief scientist at NASA's Langley Research Center, Dennis Bushnell, tagged microwave attacks on the brain as part of a future warfare presentation to the National Defense Industrial Association about future strategic issues. In the presentation, he stated that work is exceedingly sensitive and unlikely to be reported in any unclassified documents. Does that mean that these projects are out of the purview of the President of the United States? Targeted Justice has repeatedly claimed that the TI program falls under a top-secret clearance named Ultra, as in MK Ultra, just below top-level clearance Majestic, above the security clearance of the U.S. President and Congressional Intelligence Committees, making them a violation of the U.S. Constitution. This security clearance system was allegedly set up by Vice President Nelson Rockefeller in the 1970s. One of the first people to make headlines about the targeting program is Harlan Gerard. His experience as a victim of these weapons was featured in a TV documentary and a lengthy article in the Washington Post.
We're aware of the use of the Vercator weapons, which we've identified as being particularly painful. This is U.S. patent number 4345220. So they had a global system via satellite that was partially operational by 1984. We know that because there's a gentleman named Harlan Gerard that described in detail and proved it with documents that were filed in lawsuits a few years later.
Gerard says he's been targeted by the government since the 1980s, ever since he spoke against George H.W. Bush.
Well, that's why they told me they'd come into my life.
Gerard's investigation took him to Washington. He found documents proving that government researchers experimented with mind control. And their tools included microwaves.
It's someone using a process called synthetic telepathy, which has been patented by the Air Force.
The Air Force Research Laboratory did get a patent. A patent for using microwaves to send words into people's heads.
Police reports, FBI reports that they were in fact experiencing satellite attacks in 1984 and 1985. Keep in mind, this was before there was cell tower networks, before there were cell phones. They were amazed that they could be tracked on the ground so precisely and attacked on the top of their head 24 hours a day.
Many victims of this program try to find ways to shield themselves from attacks, especially at night. It's a painstaking and often expensive pursuit that sees them having to purchase Faraday or metal-lined items, which often have little to no impact.
You have to put on your armor, not just the armor of God to face the world every day, but for sleeping, since you are stagnant for so long, that's when you really need to protect yourself, protect your heart, protect your head. With all these contraptions, you pretty much have to wear an armor. It is exhausting.
I don't have a lot of money, but I would try things like Kevlar, like the shielding that you would use for EMF. Nothing I've gotten has provided 100% protection, but it did provide some. I would just kind of sleep with the pillow between my legs, maybe the shielding over me as well, head protection with the EMF.
I cover my legs with a kind of metal dustbin, really, to help me. I must look like a nutcase at night, but lucky enough nobody sees me. I try all sorts of tactics to stop it, and that's how I can try to lead a normal life.
Paolo Fiora lives in Britain. He has organized a protest for targeted individuals outside 10 Downing Street in London, home of the British Prime Minister.
I've been trying to organize the people getting together today. You know, I've been targeted for a very long time. I started getting targeted in Italy, where I was born in Italy.
Robert Gogerly says he sent a report of what was happening to him to the British Prime Minister's office. And almost immediately a police officer contacted his doctor to inquire about his mental health.
I decided I'll create my own report, which is here. I decided to then send it to our Prime Minister here at number 10 and to the Houses of Parliament, to all the ministers. The police then contacted my doctor, inquiring from my doctor, have I got a mental health condition? I have direct evidence the police actively removed these reports from being brought to the attention of our elected Prime Minister and our elected members of Parliament who forms the cabinet.
The British, researching into the use of microwave weapons, and in the 80s mass producing these microwave weapons, which are used by British intelligence now on members of the general public. Microwave technology is perfect because with the use of microwave technology, the Russians and later the Americans found that at a flick of a switch, you can control behavior. You can make someone manic, you can make them suicidal, you can make them obsessive, you can make them compliant and submissive, all at the flick of the switch.
It's alleged that Marconi Electronics Systems were producing microwave weapons in Britain in the 1980s. And that may explain why 25 of their scientists died in mysterious circumstances in what became known as the Marconi murders. Interestingly, of course, Marconi were involved in the Strategic Defense Initiative, which is the so-called Star Wars project. So yeah, I think it's definitely possible that Britain were manufacturing these weapons and testing them on their own population in the 1980s and through to the current day. That's certainly my experience.
The British government recently posted an ad hiring for directed energy weapons communications role. Over in Brussels, another organization representing targeted individuals is ICADER, led by Melanie Vrichen. Melanie is taking the concerns of targeted individuals to the UN and has met with them several times.
Our collaboration with the UN has intensified, and we had various meetings with them. So it's an independent body of experts that will judge our case. And what we were discussing is how we can make the committee understand that what targeted individuals are living is really a disability. There are certainly people in the UN that consider this as a really grave crime and would like it to get much more attention than it has. I honestly had the impression that it's almost the first time that they heard about these crimes. It is our duty, I think, as citizens, that there is this democratic oversight that is created. It is the state, or these states are responsible, are either unwilling or unable, as it seems, to protect their citizens. Then the state is liable, with victims gathering around the globe, uniting their forces to educate the public, and to raise awareness for this very, very grave problem. I believe it's one of the most serious crimes that has happened since World War II. Rest assured that we will do anything that is in our power to stop these programs, and we will succeed.
In Canada, Galina Cardina has been organizing protests and pushing for awareness at the Canadian Parliament.
I have run an organization of victims of psychotronic weapons since 2009. I met a leader of the Liberal Party in Canada, Mr. Michael Ignatieff. We submitted a petition against misuse of psychotronic mind control weapons to Member of Parliament, Mr. John McKay. On the 23rd of November 2011, the petition was tabled in the House of Commons in Ottawa. Its number was 411-0188. More than 1,000 signatures for the petition were collected by our Organization of Victims of Psychotronic Mind Control Weapons in Canada. The answer of the Canadian government was: the Canadian government takes note of the petitioner's concerns. However, the government has no information on any such activities.
Back in Washington, D.C., Richard and Anna have gathered the largest targeted individual rally on record, with attendees coming from across America to stand up for their rights. Anna and some of the rally attendees have managed to secure a meeting with a representative of U.S. Senator Jerry Moran. The meeting goes well, but the senator's representative says little. Anna and one of the rally's attendees have managed to secure a second meeting, this time with a representative of Senator Ron Johnson's office. When the meeting starts, Anna doesn't hold back.
This is a travesty happening in America. It's a Stasi state and it needs to stop. This is about doing what's right. Let's investigate if there are civilian victims of Havana syndrome in the United States. As you know, President Trump on January 20th, among the dozens of executive orders he signed one very important one, which is against government weaponization. Why did the FBI create InfraGard? So that they are exempt from FOIA. Why doesn't he bring witnesses to testify that are victims of government weaponization, such as myself and normal Americans that have no ties to terrorism to testify and say how our lives have been obliterated by these criminals.
The meeting ends without any next steps.
I'm going to bite my tongue.
We're in Washington, D.C. We just had a meeting with Legislative Council with Senator Ron Johnson's office. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make the meeting, so we met with his representative. We discussed all the topics of targeted justice. Unfortunately, I don't know whether or not she took us serious, whether or not she's going to give that information to Senator Ron Johnson. We're here to document that we did give her all of the information she needed.
It is so frustrating that as an American citizen with genuine concerns and complaints for redress, they will not open the doors for you.
The voices of targeted individuals are getting louder and more credible. Our elected representatives can't ignore them for much longer. This program is designed to subjugate and control, and it can target anyone, anywhere, anytime. Its tactics are sinister. Its motives are unknown. How many people have been through the mental health system or committed suicide due to this program? Can anyone be turned into a killer with enough torment? Can the world's governments or secret societies now deploy sophisticated militia-like tactics and military-grade neuroweapons to ruin someone's life in the most hideous, cowardly, and satanic way? And the most important question of all, could this become a global mind control program?
I know it sounds fantastical and maybe beyond belief, and it's probably scary to even think about, but the truth is, this is real, this is reality. You or someone you love and care for can be a victim of this.
Once I realized how big this thing is, I couldn't look away anymore. I had to do something.
These folks are criminals. Every single one of them need to be in jail. And I'm so disappointed in our government.
This is probably one of the most threatening things that could ever happen to a man, because you don't have privacy of thought. And if they can manipulate your thought, they can manipulate your speech.
You think it's normal people have access to your thoughts, have access to your life, follow you and torture you.
This is the technology that can be easily used to control and manipulate and monitor the population.
This is a torture program. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. No one deserves this. No one.
I'm an old lady. I'm in my 70s. You know, what on earth could they got to gain from someone like me? You know, it's not really hurt anybody at all, done anything wrong.
You realize the potential to control the masses without their knowledge, radiologically, remotely, and you are making full use of it. Now, that's not democracy, and it is moving towards a silent dictatorship.
I mean, right now we're the guinea pigs, right? But they're not going to stop there. They have a plan in place. They're using this for something big.
These people, there's 278,000 people on the unacknowledged terrorist database, category 3 and 4, which even the president does not have access to.
I believe there's a high probability that the technologies are not controlled by the governments of any nation. So yes, I believe it's possible that this stuff is above the president and he does not have access to it.
I think more and more people will experience it. People will believe that they have psychosis.
There's only so many people you can dismiss as delusional and crazy. It's a weaponization of the government. I don't think they're going to get away with it because it's such a violation of human rights.
They are psychopaths. They have no empathy, no compassion, no feelings.
I think we have to operate now on the assumption that they can read our thoughts, everybody's. Our existing wireless communications infrastructure runs on microwave. Your cell phone runs on microwave. If they have discovered a way to pick up brain signals on the microwave network. That is a serious breach of the social contract between governments and their citizens. The first thing they've done with this technology is use it to oppress people, which raises serious questions over who's in charge and what their intentions are for regular people.
Despite the growing voices of victims, court cases fighting this torture program have fallen flat. Attorney Ana Toledo has been following the legal battles closely.
There have been over 500 lawsuits that have been thrown out. Some are about the voiceless call. Some are about the gang stalking. Since most of these lawsuits have been pro se, so without an attorney, they get called by the court delusional, fantastical, crazy talk. They get dismissed. The commonality of these lawsuits should have raised eyebrows in many courts.
There's no language or protections against wireless neurological attack. So you've got so many places in the world, such as Chile, that are building these laws into their constitution.
We asked victims what they would say to their cowardly torturers if they ever met them face to face.
If I was to say something to the people who had targeted me, I would say that I'm not your slave.
I don't think there's anything we can honestly say to them because they are absolutely insane to think this and do what they are doing to innocent people, not only senior citizens, but children.
It's a slow, painful death. The ultimate goal is to destroy the person.
This is wickedness and this is evil, and it has to stop. This has to stop.
How can you live with yourself? How do you sleep at night? I don't understand how you can do it. I really don't. But I'm going to still hold on to my humanness till I take my last breath.
If I had a chance to confront them, and I don't know that I would say anything because I feel like that's what they want. They want a reaction from me, and I just don't even want to give them one. There was a time where I wanted to yell and scream at them and cuss them out, but I wouldn't even give them the time of day, honestly.
I would say you're going to be stopped. They know about you. I know we have these capabilities, but to use them against our citizens is treason, and it won't be tolerated.
I hope you can find God. I don't know what provoked you to do this kind of thing to other human beings. I hope you live a very long life knowing just exactly what kind of stain you put on your soul.
You could sit in front of the people who are doing this to you. What would you say to them?
I'll see you in court.
Have a conscience. Have a conscience. Enough is enough.
As a Catholic, what do you think the consequences are for their soul?
Well, I'll leave that up to Jesus, who sits at the right hand of our Father. And I can't talk for them, but I don't think their outcome is good.
Steady up on it. Look at the evidence. Look at the witnesses, the testimonies of how damaging it is psychologically and physically to a person.
Once you understand it and do the research, you can rise above it. I believe prayers helped a lot.
It's like I'm being attacked right now as we speak, you know, and but you tend to get used to it in a dysfunctional way. Just trying to help fight this thing, you know.
It's truly a sick and evil program, and what they do to people needs to be known. But I know that there are people who've been so destroyed physically and mentally by this program, they can't fight for themselves.
We don't know from where it's coming exactly, but the only way that we can support these people is to understand that they are not crazy. They need support.
Repent while you still have time.
Despite the dark shadow that looms over them and the lack of help from elected representatives, many targets are hopeful that the tide is beginning to turn.
Why is fighting this so important, so close to your heart?
Because I cannot conceive myself of being a slave to this program. You know, I'd rather die. I'd rather die standing than live on my knees. You know, I'm not going to stop this fight. Nobody could make this up.
Nobody can go around claiming to be a victim of this if it wasn't true, because it's so horrific. No court of law would give a warrant to any agent to go into the brain of somebody and know what they're thinking. You cannot so much as pray to God, have an intimate conversation with God without these criminals listening into it. That's the ultimate violation of the most sacrosanct thing you can have, and you don't even have that anymore.
For their final stop of the week, Anna and Targeted Justice are headed to the White House to stage a flash protest in front of the iconic lawn.
Electronic harassment is perpetrated through the use of directed energy weapons. Voice to Skull, which is a patented technology which beams voices to the heads of people, subliminal messaging on the population to weaponize mental health and tell people that they're going crazy, but they're not. They denounced a crime, they denounced a drug operation in their building, and all of a sudden they got the voices. Why? Because the FBI placed them on this horrific list to condemn them to a life of second-class citizenship.
Does the President of the United States and other world leaders know that mind-reading and influencing technology exists? Could it be being used on them? And who has majestic level clearance that supersedes the President? If China can disclose these technologies, why can't we? If Russia can make the use of these weapons illegal, why can't we? There's a demon at the gates. This technology has the potential to be used on both mass populations and individuals. And if indeed these attacks are coming from our existing communications infrastructure, as many believe is the case, then we find ourselves already caught in the mousetrap. The question is, who's at the controls?
As much as they have so much influence and access to doing bad things to us, ultimately the control is within us. I believe that with Tulsi Gabbard and the current administration, this is going to get exposed. Nobody's going to be made whole because the scars are too deep.
It's torture on an incredible level. This technology that includes subliminal messaging can be used as a global mind control network. It's very real. It's happening right now. It's already being used on the American and European populations. It has the potential to be the greatest threat to mankind ever, because once you get this submissive compliance, it's very easy to accomplish some type of power takeover.
This isn't okay. We're not free. I'm a veteran. This isn't the country that we fought for. This isn't the freedom. You know, when does this program end? Who's going to step in? Who's going to do something?